Hello, Sarah. Sara Diehl.
Yes.
You are from Berlin, Germany. You've been in Nigeria how long?
For 1 month now.
1 month. What do you think of Nigeria?
Well, I really do love it because I have the feeling that I really chose the right place to research the things I want to research. My interest, especially right now, is to stay more time in African bigger cities, to explore urban life in African countries. I mean, especially sub-Saharan African countries, because this is something where I come from in Germany that a lot of people don't really know about. You know, like they still like kind of connect Africa to kind of like wildlife and conflicts and development aid, but they don't really have a complex understanding of the life in Africa, of the daily life in Africa. And this is something that I wanted to just learn about more, and this is why I wanted to stay always 1 month in a bigger African city. Like before, I've been in Nairobi and in Kampala and in Harare and in Cape Town, and now I'm here in Lagos for 1 month. And I was really, really happy that I chose Lagos, because I have the feeling a lot of things that I learned in other places is all here. You know, it's all in a very complex way. It's all represented here.
Like what?
Well, for example, the differences between the people who come here from the rural areas, who survive. The harsh differences or separations between classes I find very, very intriguing. Between poor and rich people, which is very much something that kind of shapes the whole city also. It's kind of also a worrying thing, I find. Then also the huge numbers of people who are very creative, who are very inspiring, like people who do all sorts of things about art, writing, cinema, visual arts, and there's so much going on here, and also but it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm not just talking about that. I'm interested in people who do art. I mean, it's no matter what you do here, you are kind of an entrepreneur, I feel,
Very
and
good.
This is
You found out about Nigerians in Lagos.
Yeah.
And you've met Nigerians that are from different parts of the country, not
Yeah.
just in Lagos.
Yeah.
Now you are collecting all this information and experiences because you're going to write a book.
A novel, a fiction novel.
A fiction novel.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe to explain the whole context, the novel
Okay.
I wrote, the first novel I published last year
Yes.
was about, because I'm German, it was about an Israeli family coming to Germany.
Okay.
Because I wanted to explore the situation where actually Germans meet Jewish people and actually really encounter themselves also in a daily life setting, because a lot of Germans don't really know so much about Jewish daily life, or for example daily life in Israel, because they just have a lot of cliches about Israelis in their head, because there are not so many Jewish people actually who still live in Germany after the Second World War, after the Holocaust. So it was also something that connects my previous novel and my novel that I'm writing now, is this cliches, the stereotypes we have in our heads, and what actually happens when we meet each other. So in my first novel it was about the encounter between Germans and Jews in recent times. And now I want to explore what actually happens when white people are coming to Africa and they all have these stereotypes in their head, and what happens when they actually are exposed to the daily life here. This is what I want to explore.
What stereotypes did you have about Africa yourself before you came here?
Well, I mean, I try to be very open, to whatever I would encounter, but I can say from a childhood on, I mean, of course I had romantic ideas about wildlife, but then on the other hand, also really brutal, images of war and crisis and hunger and conflict. I think these are kind of everything that Germans know about Africa kind of goes back and forth between these kind of images, So, which is not a very complex idea of Africa, right?
No.
It's a very one-sided way,
Yes.
And I mean, I even feel when I talk with people, even my friends, they don't really know anything about African countries. So what I realize is that I feel a lot of Europeans or white people who come to Lagos, they don't really want to know the complexity. They don't really want to learn about the complexity of the life here. They want to kind of stick with all the cliches about how dangerous it is, etc. And they don't really explore. They don't really go out to explore, and I find this very sad. And I felt myself I have to overcome a lot of like fears that were like put in my head when I came to Lagos, you know, how dangerous it is and I cannot go there, you know, because I would be robbed and etc. You know, all these things you hear.
Have you been robbed?
Not at all. and I just really had, and even so I was like, you know, at night out and I was like going out a lot, also in Ikeja, you know, so nothing happened to me, but really beautiful encounters, you know, like I felt all the people are super helpful. I mean, also, you know, like yesterday I had to find my way from like Isolo to Ikeja with Danfos, you know, and I had to take like 4 different Danfos.
Got on Danfos?
Yeah. But it was so nice and everybody was like helping me, explaining me exactly where to go, you know, and it, you know, it just works, you know, this is how people help each other here.
That's good.
You know, so I just had the best encounters here and I'm really happy I came here. And I just find it so sad that like people are so trapped in these like stereotypes they hear about this place and they want to kind of, they, as if they kind of enjoy telling each other how dangerous it is. Maybe because they want to tell each other that they kind of survived an adventure or something like this, you know what I mean?
Have you met many who have lived here for a long time?
Yeah, I met a lot of Lagosians, as they call it themselves, you know, like
they
people
call
who actually...
themselves Lagosians. I'm talking of the whites now. They call themselves Lagosians?
No, they don't.
No, okay.
But like actually, like
yes.
Nigerians who've been born here, you know. Yeah. I realized that they call themselves Lagosians.
Yes.
I met some like white people who are here for like 30 years.
Yes.
But they were also very honest, you know, about how one-sided they see the city because they stick to their bubble, you know.
Okay. Well, they know why they see it as one-sided.
Yeah, and
why they are keeping the stereotype.
Well, I guess the fear just prevailed in a way, you know. The fear was just stronger than their like sense of exploration, maybe.
Is there a way we can disabuse the minds of these fears? Can you think of any way?
Well, maybe this is something that I would like to do, to like
explore in your book.
Explore in my book, you know,
Very
and to
good.
just show a lot of different characters, you know, to really get an understanding how complex the city is, you know, and how people create their daily lives in these like, you know, difficulties that Lagos is. I mean, Lagos is not a very relaxing place as long as you don't stay home. I mean, I just feel it's like full of life, you know.
So where are the places you have been to that are helping you change your mind about what you had heard about Lagos?
Well, just because I really exposed myself to all the different, you know, places I went. I mean, you know, Isolo, Ikeja, you know, like Surulere. I mean, they're not like, they're just simply places on the mainland where, you know, normal people live, you know, and just being there, I mean, I just walk down the street and you realize immediately what you had in your head is not what you see here, you know, and that's all you need. I mean, you just have to walk down the street, talk to people, you know, have a coffee here and then breathe, and
what are the differences that you have noticed between Lagos, for instance, and Berlin? What are the major differences?
I think I focus actually more on the similarities than on differences, you know.
Okay.
So sometimes it's hard for me to.
Okay. Why don't you then, you know, tell me the similarities then? What you have found?
Well, we're all human beings who try to survive, you know.
Okay.
And I think I like to see human beings like that. I mean, I think people are just too individual to just focus on like this is the way how people deal with the situation, you know. Like it's just too different, but different for every human being. It's not different just for Berlin or for Lagos, you know.
Okay.
And I guess I just want to understand this, you know. I mean, what I really liked is to hear stories how people appropriate certain situations that I can relate to. And there was this one lady and she talked about that she uses the time she's stuck in traffic jam to write.
That's right.
And I just find it fascinating also how people, you know, use the traffic jam to do groceries, you know, because there's so many street vendors who then have like, you know, milk and, you know, food, water, you know, but also other items like watches, you know, that you can buy while you are stuck in traffic. And I think it's just brilliant, you know, so you make use of your time, yeah, but also make use of the writing. And this is also what I said before, what I really like so much, that these women who have children, you know, who have to go to work, they use the traffic jam to write because they have to make space, you know, they have to find these little spaces they can find to write, to be creative for themselves. And this is just, that I found really like a beautiful, yeah, story to understand how people
Snatching
appropriate
time to write.
the city. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
You have another passion that you mentioned at the meeting. Why don't you talk about that?
Okay. So I also make documentary films on one certain issue.
Yes.
Because I encountered, like some years ago, I just saw like numbers from the World Health Organization, how many women still are dying or get really sick because they don't have access to a safe abortion.
Mm-hmm.
So they organize or like make abortions themselves, with like bleach, with detergent, with knitting needles and things like that. So,
and they survive it or they die?
well, a lot of women die, and some women who survive still have infections or get sick for the rest of their lives or get infertile, so it really has a very bad impact. And I think this whole topic about abortion is a topic a lot of people don't want to talk about because it's very stigmatized.
Out
but it is
here
still something.
Or universally?
I think universally, but I also encounter in a country like Nigeria where it's still illegal and where also like you have certain, especially religious views on it. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to talk about it from a woman's perspective, to really talk about the life reality of women who actually have this problem, who don't have access to contraceptives or where contraceptives is too expensive, or they don't have the knowledge how to use it or how to get it, or they feel ashamed to ask for it. There are a lot of different reasons why women don't have proper access to contraceptives or sex education altogether. So I think this is just like a topic a lot of women are exposed to, but they don't get the information because we are all too shy to talk about it. And I think this is a problem when we hide away topics like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
but you have made films of this?
I made documentary films about it, and now I work on a documentary film where I want to focus on like activists in Nigeria and in other countries where abortion is still illegal, who just address the topic, and really want to get information to women so women's life can be saved. It's not about saying that abortion is like a good thing to do. It's simply if a woman would do it, then she has to do it in a way that she doesn't die. Mm-hmm. It's also about like giving her other options, but it's simply like getting the word out that women are in a position that they can talk about this issue at all.
Food for thought. I don't think any individual can actually say that's what I will do in the circumstance.
Exactly.
Until you actually find yourself in that situation.
Exactly. I met so many women who said like they could never have an abortion, but then they ended up in a situation where they had one, because
maybe they were raped.
Maybe they were raped, yeah, or maybe they were just like, also like in an abusive relationship they needed to get away from, like there are thousands of like, situations, and I think only the woman who is in the situation and has to take the consequences and has to live the consequences should be in the position to make the decision, because nobody else can really understand her problems.
Yes. A number of these issues, you see, those of us who are not involved readily give our own opinions and like take stands, but when we find ourselves in those situations, we probably wouldn't take our own medicine. We don't know until we find ourselves in
That's true.
But I think we should realize that.
That's true.
More
but this is also
often
something
than
that
because we're always pointing fingers. That's wrong. Shouldn't be done.
That's right. But this is also the power of storytelling, as you know, also in your work.
Yes.
It is so important to like tell the story of women's lives, because this is underrepresented in a lot of contexts. So people get a better understanding about what women have to go through, what women need.
We talk sometimes that if in a family, husband and wife deliver the babies, maybe the wife first, the next baby will come from the man, you are not going to get, and maybe you get a third one, but you're not getting a fourth one because the man will not go through it. He's had it once and the experience wasn't too pleasant. I think if you find yourself going through what the woman is going through, you'll be in a better position to say you are right doing what you've done, or you are wrong doing what you've done.
That's right.
I think that's how we should look at it. So, how much longer are you going to be in Lagos?
Only 5 more days.
Oh,
and my heart is bleeding, I have to say, because I would like, I definitely want to come back.
Yeah, come back.
Because it's Especially because, you know, I met also like wonderful women like you, you know, in this today's meeting. Oh yeah.
That's very nice of you.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So I want to continue this kind of friendship and this kind of exchange, you know, that we're having right now.
That's good. You see, it's so important that we should all come together and see each other as one. My needs are your needs. My wants are your wants. And once you realize that both of us share these kinds of things, very few differences. It's interesting that you were not eager to comment on differences. You were more interested in talking about similarities, because that's really what is important.
Yeah.
Our differences are, those who have studied DNA tell us that the differences between us, all human beings, the differences only make about 1.5%, whereas the similarities are enormous.
Yeah.
And we should perhaps focus more on those and not talk of the shape of your nose, color of your hair, even the shape. If you are fat or you're thin, we shouldn't focus on those. We should focus on, you know, the
Where we
Easterners
can
say,
connect.
Namaste. The God in me salutes the God in you. Even though I am the leper, you are the king, you will turn to me and say, the God in me salutes the God in you. Namaste. And that's how we should see each other.
Exactly.
With respect.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
agree. It was very nice to talk to
Thank you
you.
very much. Come again.
I will.